everybody. How we doing? Welcome to episode 3 of I'm All Over the Place. I'm your host, Jason Fleming. Hope everybody's doing well this lovely snow-covered Northeast weekend. It's all right. It's going to be 60 this week around here, guys. Snow's going to melt. Spring's right around the corner. It's an interesting time of year for sports, coming into one of the great sporting events out there in the NCAA tournament. And love that. Selection Sunday is actually the time that I'm recording this on Sunday. It's Selection Sunday where they release the brackets is coming out in a little bit. So what I thought I would do today is talk a little bit about some of my favorite sports experiences. And I've got a ton. I'm a huge sports fan. And back in, the day, I was a massive NASCAR fan, and I've been to tracks in Richmond and I've been to Bristol and Darlington and, of course, Loudon and all over the place. And Rockingham, that was a great trip. And, seeing sporting events, all different kinds. I've tried to narrow this down to my 3 favorite. 1 and 2 are no doubters for the experience. And then there's like a bunch for 3. I kind of settled on 1. But as I said, we're coming into March Madness. So really quick, I wanted to tell my favorite March Madness story. And there's a ton of tournament stories with Christian Laettner and Duke. And that year, I was in college that year. It was unbelievable. That was great. My favorite one probably is in 95. I was in college. I went to Northwest Missouri State University in Maryville, Missouri, Bearcats. Let's go Bearcats. And of course now, so I'm in Missouri. I had picked UCLA to win the whole thing that year in our fraternity friends pool that we had. There was quite a few people in it. So now I think it was in the Sweet 16. It was pretty late in the tournament. Missouri was playing UCLA. Obviously, I'm surrounded by Missouri fans. And I was the only one that had UCLA probably in the zip code. Great game, back and forth. And Mizzou hits a bucket late, like 4.5 seconds left to go up by 1. Coach calls a timeout, and Jim Herrick was the coach. Calls a timeout. They inbound the ball to Tyus Edney, like 6'1", little point guard, fast as lightning. He goes the length of the court, hits a layup at the buzzer. Ball up, falls, game over. UCLA wins by a point, and they end up going on to win the national championship. I'm going crazy, right? UCLA beat Missouri. For about 4 seconds, I'm going crazy, and then I realized that I'm surrounded by people that probably wanted to end my life because Missouri, at least in our lifetime, hadn't made it that far. I don't know if they made it that far since. So anyway, March Madness should be a national holiday. If you guys need a note, I will write you guys a note for Thursday and Friday so you can not have to go to class, so you can get out of work. Because Thursday and Friday of the first round, when it's games all over the place and buckets are being hit and dunks and last-minute shots, no one should have to work or go to school that day. So if you need a note, I got you. Let me know. And listen, my first love is baseball. There's no doubt about that. And that will be a pretty, heavy theme moving forward in this little breakdown, but we'll get there. So at number 3, and like I said, I could put about 8 different things into this category, but so I think it was in 99. I went to an Army-Navy game in Philly, and with my ex and some friends of ours, and whatever. I love college football, and amazing respect for the military and all that stuff. And it was great. I was like, hey, how many times are you going to get to go to an Army-Navy game? But I didn't really have big expectations for it. So we went early. And I'm all about tailgating. I'm all about going to the game early, but we were there early. And there wasn't a whole lot of tailgating going on. So I'm like, what the heck's, the deal here? So we go in. Now, we were like 3 rows from the flags around the top of the stadium. We were up there, and it was cold. I think it was in early December. And what I didn't know was all of the pomp and circumstance that goes into an Army Navy game before the game. They march out all the cadets and they're in formation on the field, and they record all these awesome videos. And it's basically like Army making fun of Navy in a video and Navy making fun of Army. If you get a chance to go. It's so incredibly impressive. And Navy ended up winning that game. I think it was 19-9 or something like that. But the thing about the experience that I'll never forget is pre-game, of course, flyovers are a common thing. Well, this was an Army-Navy game. So Navy went first, and they came out, and their cadets came out onto the field, and they did their thing, and they were all in formation. And then, I don't know, it had to have been a dozen fighter jets went screaming over the stadium. And if you've been to a sporting event and there's been a flyover like that, it's awesome. It just kind of you get chills, and it's so cool. And they went flying over. And like I said, we were high. We were up there. So that was awesome. They got done, and then Army came out and all their cadets. And it takes a while. I mean, they march out and they're in formation, and they're in their, things on the field and this and that. And then I'm like, so what are they going to do? Are they going to roll some tanks in here or something like that? So they get done, and you start to feel it. And everything is freaking shaking. And I'm like, what in the holy... I thought we were having an earthquake. What the holy hell is going on? Apache helicopters were in formation all the way around the stadium. And all at once, they came up into view and were tipped down towards the stadium. Now, I felt like I could touch one of them because we were so high. I'll never forget that feeling. It was so unbelievably powerful to see that machinery, that talent, the skill of the pilots, and they just come up and they just kind of hovered over us, and and then they all went off in different directions. But I'll never forget that. It was just so unbelievable, and I was fired up, and it was a great game, but just a great experience. If you get an opportunity, I would love to go to another military academy game at some point. But yeah, that was pretty special. That was pretty awesome. So number 2. Now I have to tell you a little bit first off about me as a sports fan. Growing up, Congress Street, Bennington, my boys, whatever the season was, right? If it was basketball season, we were shooting hoops in the hoop out in front of my house and the Sandquist house, and my buddy Brian and Dougie and all those guys, and Denny and John, and they were all here. If it was football season, we were, skinning our knees and our elbows in the street, playing two-hand touch and playing football. Baseball season over at the field at Mount Anthony, just all summer long. Soccer was never our thing. If any of us had a soccer ball, we would use it for an occasional, very rare game of kickball. Mostly we'd probably use it for dodgeball. And if you get hit in the face with a cold, kind of gravelly covered soccer ball, that hurts. So I'm never a huge soccer fan. And that reminds me, wow, years ago, there was a Miller High Life TV ad campaign. And it was this old kind of gruff guy. And you wouldn't see him. You would just hear him as the voiceover. And he, blue collar stories about being a high life man. So this was my favorite one. So there's a guy and he's repairing a window. There's a broken piece of glass and he's on a ladder and he's repairing it. And the voiceover guy comes in and he goes, well, little Johnny got a little rambunctious with the baseball earlier today and broke the window. Well, that's okay. It happens. You know what? And if a football goes through the window, that's okay too. Even a basketball. That's all right. But if a soccer ball goes through this window, well, you're going to have words of the high life, man. I freaking love that commercial. So never a huge soccer fan. Never played it, much love, whatever. Unbelievable athletes, but never just had any appreciation for it. I don't think I'm unique in that in this country. There are a lot of people that was never their thing. So 1990, I'm in high school and I go on a foreign exchange to Germany. And I'm in a little town called Planegg, which is a 15, 20-minute train ride from Munich. Spent a lot of time in Munich. It was just an amazing trip. Loved it. I could do a whole podcast just on that German trip. I think I should someday and get my buddy Rich on here because that was a great trip. Anyway, there was this little thing called the World Cup going on while we were over there. And I've said this 1,000 times. American sports fans have no idea what fandom is until you're in a country that's, besides the US and Canada and probably some others, that you're in a country that's competing in the World Cup. If you're in Europe, if you're in Latin America, and so anyways, it was the entire country was talking about. So Germany makes it to the finals against Argentina. And we're in a group, of the Americans, my classmates that went over, and our host families and the buddies that we made while we were over there. And we're watching the game. Unbelievable. Well, I guess. I don't really have a whole point of reference. I guess it was an unbelievable game, but I don't really know. Germany dominated. Like, they outshot Argentina like 23-1 or something like that. But there was no score. Went to PKs. Andy Brame hit, had a goal, whatever. And so Germany wins. Germany wins the World Cup. Okay. Woohoo! Another reason to party while we're in Germany. That's great. Yeah, no idea. Like, literally the ball hit the back of the net and all of my German friends were on their feet and they're like, let's go, pack your shit. We're going to Munich. All right. So we get on the train. Train's bouncing. Ole, 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 ole. Holy Deutschland. I heard that thing for probably the next 7 hours straight. Just straight. So we get off the train in Munich. We come up the tunnel. And it's an ocean of people. I've never been to Times Square for New Year's Eve or anything, but it's that imagine that. It was just as far as the eye could see, people. And they had flatbeds set up where bands were playing. And I remember the ground, the road was already like 2 inches of broken glass from bottles and glasses and everything else. And it was just an unbelievable night. And there wasn't any rioting and they weren't setting things on fire or anything. Like, it was just an entire country celebrating. And I was so lucky to be a part of it. It was just an unbelievable night from what I remember of it. Because das bitteschön, ein Maß bitte, the brewskis were flying and we were partying and it was just so much fun. At one point, we're in this massive crowd and we're dancing and, and I'm on my buddy's shoulders and this and that. And we're having just a great time. And so we missed the last train back to Planegg. And we end up like crashing, I don't know, for like an hour on some park bench in Munich. We hit the first train in the morning because we were supposed to meet the mayor. Our class, the exchange students, we were supposed to meet the mayor of Planegg that day. And so we were late and we were all stressed about it and whatever. But come to find out, nobody was doing anything that day. Like, they shut the country down. Everybody was hungover and still celebrating and this and that. Just an unbelievable once in a lifetime, unbelievable experience. So that next day, I'm at my host family's and I'm at the kitchen table and I'm having some breakfast, and they had the newspaper, and my host father, who was a great guy, he had daughters, so he loved having a son in the house. We did all kinds of fun shit. So he goes, he throws a newspaper down and says, "You have a good time last night?" And I said, "Yeah, I had a blast last night. It was unbelievable. And we went to Munich and it was just unreal." He goes, "Yeah, it looks like you had a good time." So I'm just thinking he's saying that because I was probably looked like dog shit. I was hungover as hell. So he throws a newspaper in front of me and I look at it, and on the picture, the top half of the newspaper, front page, it's the mob, right? It's this massive ocean of people. And right in the middle is this moron wrapped in a German flag, sitting on somebody's shoulders, yelling and screaming. And I look and I'm like, holy shit, that's me. They could not have put a worse person in terms of like showing the love and having the admiration for what do they call it? The beautiful game, right? I didn't have any of that admiration. I was just there for the party. But sure as shit, there I am on the cover of that newspaper, the Munich newspaper, and I think I was on Rich Albert's shoulders. I was on somebody's shoulders, and somebody threw me a German flag, and I'm wrapped in it. Deutschland, ole. So yeah, it was unbelievable. I'll never forget that. Really, really amazing time. So lucky. Talk about being in the right place at the right time and the stars aligning and all that stuff. So just really, really super cool. So we move on to number one. And I think that if you know me, you kind of look in the background and you know, I said that, you know, baseball is my first love. And so I got to talk about the Red Sox. So I have to set some context here. Being a Red Sox fan was a pretty long haul, right? Curse of the Bambino. Hadn't won a World Series since 1918. Like, then the Titanic sank or something like that. So a lot of ups and downs. Bucky fucking Dent and all that stuff. And you just never I never thought, and a lot of Red Sox fans just thought that we were cursed, that we were never going to win the whole damn thing. So let's go to 2003. 2003, that was the Cowboy Up team, right? And they were a great team, fun team. Won a bunch of games. Grady Little was their coach, and not great. But anyways, they were a really, really fun team. And they battled the Yankees all season long. Of course, this is in American League East. They play each other like 19 times in the regular season. So, and they didn't back down. They were right there with the Yankees. Now, at the time, I was bartending at a place in Bennington, and I had my regulars, right, that would come in. And predominantly, I would say that was a Red Sox bar. I mean, listen, a ton of Yankee fans came into it all the time. But the owners were from Boston. Brian was a Red Sox fan. Jackie was a Yankees fan, right? But there were a lot of Red Sox fans that were around there. So 2003, Game 7, winner goes to the World Series, ALCS. Pedro pitches his ass off. Grady Little leaves him in one batter too long. Yankees end up tying it up. Goes to extras. Now I'm bartending. Game's on every TV in the bar. And the place is packed with freaking Yankee fans. Packed. I'm looking. I'm praying. Where the hell are my Red Sox fans? I can't find anybody. And so it goes down. Tim Wakefield's pitching. And, listen, I love Wakefield. Great Red Sox. But the knuckleballer, you knew that he was susceptible to giving up the long ball. And, and then is born Aaron fucking Boone. Booney hits the home run in the left field stands, walk off, Yankees win, Yankees go to the World Series, blah, 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 blah. So I'm in this bar. He hits the ball. The bar explodes. Yankee fans, I took it so hard that night. Like, they unloaded on me. It was horrible. And I didn't have any of my Red Sox fans there to kind of take the brunt of it. So I took it. I will say most of them felt pretty bad for me, I think, because they tipped well at the end of the night. But that sucked. So now we fast forward to 2004. And, Sox were good in the regular season. Win some, lose some, but not great. They make the trade late in the season. They trade Nomar Garciaparra, who was a, Red Sox legend. And they pick up pieces. And I can remember at the time of the trade, I'm like, Jesus, who the hell are these guys? Doug Mankiewicz and, just, what's the name of the Dodgers skipper, the guy that stole the base? I'll remember it later on in this podcast. But so it starts, and the playoffs start. The Red Sox are in, the Yankees are in. Red Sox win their first round series, and then they play the Yankees in the American League Championship Series. The Yankees absolutely hand the Red Sox their ass in a wicker basket for the first 3 games of that series. Are leading in game 4. And Dave Roberts, I remember. So I'm bartending. Game 4, ALCS. Same thing. There's more Red Sox fans this time. But it's not crowded. I think that for whatever reason, it was weird. I was expecting it to be busier, but it wasn't. So the Red Sox are down a run late, and Dave Roberts, somebody gets on base. They pinch run Dave Roberts at first base. And I remember thinking, damn it, I am not ready for this season to end. This is a fun group. It's a good group. Now, the Red Sox are down 3-0, and it's the first 3-0. It's the first team to 4 wins the series. So Dave Roberts steals second, and close play, head first slide, just beats Posada's throw. And then he gets hit in. Red Sox tie the game. Poppy goes on to win it in like the 11th or something like that. I can remember Joe Buck's call. We'll see you later on today, because the game had gone into midnight and they were playing game 5 later on. So the Red Sox, same thing, back and forth, extra innings. Poppy, hits one, walk off. They win. I remember the cover. So now it's 3-2. I remember the cover of the New York Post after game 5. And the headline said, "This sucks." Like, this sucks, but this sucks. And there was a line in the article that I'll never forget. And it said, there's 2 teams getting on airplanes tonight, heading to New York City. One of them is not happy at all, and the other one can't wait to get there. Because the Sox are just like, hey, listen, we're playing with house money at this point. But even still, all this is going on. I had to have an ulcer the size of my head that entire October. Red Sox win game 6, force a game 7. I can remember Alice and I for game 7 thinking, we're not going to the bar. We're going to watch it at the house. I can't be around people. If this thing falls apart again and somebody hits a walk-off in game 7, I don't want to be around people if that happens. Red Sox blow them out. Damon hits a grand slam. They hit, whatever. They're up big. So we actually head to JC's, the bar that I was working at, and finish the game there. So this behind me is a little collage of October. And so they beat the Yankees in game 7. No team had ever been down 3-0. and come back to win the series. So, it was perfect. You could not have written the script any better. It was unbelievable. So we partied like crazy. They beat the Yankees. It was my crew, my Red Sox fan crew were there, and it was a blast. So, of course, it doesn't really, it matters because they beat the Yankees to get to the World Series. But you're only going to really wipe out the curse if you win the whole thing. So they're playing St. Louis in the World Series. So before game one, my buddy, Mikey O, he comes up to me. I'm working at the bar, and he's like, listen, this is a long shot. Actually, he had started telling me about this around game 6 or 7 of the Yankee series. He's like, I just want you to know that if the Red Sox make it to the World Series, there's a real chance that we might be able to go to game 2. What are you talking about? So prior to game 1 of the World Series, he's like, listen, I think we can get these tickets. I can't guarantee it. I don't know for sure, but I think we can get tickets to game 2. What do you want to do? So we talked about it, and I said, well, why don't we go down? We'll go to Boston for game 1. We'll go right down to the Cask and Flagon, which is a bar right on, Lansdowne Street, right behind the Green Monster, right next to Fenway. And we'll, if nothing else, we'll watch. If we can't get the tickets, we'll watch the games right down there next to Fenway. So we'll be in the environment, and it'll be awesome. So we went down for game 1, and game 1 was October 23rd. Ugly game. Sox were up big. They had like 6 errors or something like that. Back and forth. Mark Bellhorn hit a home run late in the game off the foul pole down the right field line. YouTube it. The dong of the ball hitting the foul pole is so freaking loud, and it just erupted. The bar erupted, and we're right next to Fenway. Fenway erupted. It was like the ground was shaking. It was crazy. Red Sox won game 1. So it's the 24th. It's the day of game 2. We're in Boston. Mike's talking to a friend of his. Now, how this worked, he had a friend that he'd known for a long time. She worked in some office in Boston, and her boss had season tickets. And if I remember correctly, her boss's mother was ill, and he had to go be with her. But we weren't sure if he was when he was going to go. If he went, then he was going to give her 4 tickets to game 2. And she had a girlfriend that she was going to bring, and she told Mike that he could have the other 2. So we didn't know. We're like, same thing. Let's go down. Let's go into the city. The city was hopping, buzzing, ridiculous, so much fun. Went down to the city. Sure as shit, he ends up getting a phone call. He's like, we're in. We're going to this game. I still can't believe it. So we ended up, I'm like, what do they want? And what does she want in return? How much money does she want in return? And he's like, she doesn't want any money. They want to go out to a nice Italian restaurant for dinner. I'm like, okay. So we went to this beautiful place, this beautiful Italian restaurant. I didn't eat a thing. My guts were churning. I just wanted the ticket in my hand. I remember we ate, we got done, and I'm like, okay, come on. Let's get heading. We get a cab. We're in the cab, and we're, talking back and forth. And I'm like, can I just have my ticket? I just want to hold it. I just want to know that I'm actually going. And so she hands me my ticket. This fucking ticket. This one. So if you say you went to game 2, but you don't have one of these, I don't believe you. So we're walking to Fenway. I got my ticket. Right? People are offering me $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. We'll just to get in. And I'm no way. You could have offered me any amount of money. at that point. Well, maybe not any amount of money, but I was so focused on just getting in, thinking like this ticket's probably counterfeit. It's counterfeit. I'm going to get there. It's not going to work. They're going to arrest me. I'm not going to be able to get in. I get in. Let's see, section 19, row 10, and we're behind home plate. I'm sitting there. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Let me add a little context to the story here. Or not. I was going to show you a picture, but I screwed it to the freaking wall. It's that one up there. Mikey O and I at the game. And I didn't leave my seat until probably the 7th inning. Like, I usually will get up, go to the bathroom, grab a beer, grab a dog, that kind of thing. Just live the experience. Once I got in my seat, I was like, I'm not getting up. So I was like, someone's going to take my seat. Schilling pitched, bloody sock, episode 2. Pitched well. Veritek hit a triple early, put the Red Sox up. St. Louis never really had a shot. Sox win game 2. I'm there. And the electricity, I've been to, I don't know, dozens of Red Sox games. And good games, playoff games. But that was just different. It was unbelievable. Cold, but loud, and the energy was just the best sports experience of my life was that moment with everything that had to happen in order for me to get there. So they win game 2. We go back. We party all night long. We go back, and the Red Sox head to St. Louis for games. Well, they would have been games 3, 4, and 5. And then if it needed to be, it would have been back in Boston for game 6 and 7. St. Louis had no shot. No freaking shot. Red Sox were just a buzzsaw that year. And they weren't going to be stopped. They won game 3. Game 4. I just never thought it would happen. Never thought it would happen. October 27th. And it comes down to, that final game. Derek Lowe pitches his ass off. And then the 9th inning, Keith Folk on the mound. Little bouncer up the middle. Snags it. Throws to first. Oh, Jesus. I can't. It was ridiculous. The feeling that went through New England, like our grandparents that never saw a World Series or were, 6, 7, 8 years old the last time they won. It was just unbelievable. And to beat the Yankees, to get there, to be able to live it, feel it, soak it in game 2, and then be around some unbelievable people. And it was, here's the thing. It was so good of a sporting experience that sports hasn't been the same for me since. It hasn't. And for me as a sports fan, in terms of titles, that opened up the floodgates for me. Like I hadn't won anything. I was a Steeler fan, but the last time they won was in the early 80s, and I don't remember those teams much anyway. But, so the Red Sox win in 04. Steelers win, I'm a Steeler fan, Steelers win in 05. Red Sox and Celtics win in 07. Steelers win in 08. Bruins win in 2011. Sox win again in 13. Sox win again in 18. So I went from nothing to my teams just... And what's funny was when I was young, I bailed on the Patriots. My best friend, Brian will be on the show at some point. My best friend growing up was a huge Steeler fan. They were coming off winning 4 titles. I'm like, screw this. I'm not liking the Patriots anymore. At least I went to a decent team and it wasn't like the Cowboys or something like that, and got to see some championships. But if I had stayed with the Patriots, holy hell. I mean, that they've won, I don't know, 6 since then. But it totally opened up the floodgates for me, but it changed being a sports fan. Like, I still love sports. I'll always love sports. But I don't have nearly the same kind of, oh my God, is my team going to win? And if they don't win, like, can't listen to the radio or can't watch TV the next day because I don't want to see the highlights of them losing. Like, after 2004, after beating the Yankees, shit, my sports freaking life, it's gravy from that point on. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. And I've had a lot of great memories at Fenway. I don't think this one is screwed to the wall. So this is Sean and I, my son. We went in 2013. Again, I was at another bar, picking up a theme here. I was working. I was a patron. And the bartender was like, listen, I might get some tickets to this playoff game against Tampa, game 1, opening round. But it's tomorrow night from one of their beer distributors. And he's like, do you want the tickets if I can get them? So I call Allison. I said, I might be able to get tickets to the Red Sox game tomorrow. Can I keep Sean out of school if I get the tickets so that him and I can go? Well, I get the tickets, and me and my little buddy, ooh, too many lights. Woo. First Red Sox game, best day ever. Me and my little man. That was awesome. That was a great memory. And, but yeah, it's fun. And now my daughter's gymnast, and watching her is great. But yeah, so those are some of my favorite sports memories. What are yours? Shoot me some messages. Shoot me some Facebook messages. Let me know some of your favorites. I know people are going to give me hell about the Red Sox Yankees things, and I hope they do. Yankees have won, what are they up to now? 28, 27, 20, I don't know. A lot. Most successful franchise, championship-wise, ever. I know it. But you can never take away the best story in the history of sports. Down 3-0 to your hated rivals. Come back and whoop ace. That was great. So yeah, hope you guys are well. Hope it's going on. What do you think of my new digs, right? I got some new space. Been kicked down in the basement, but that's all right. I like my space down here. Still messing with the editing equipment and sound effects and all that garbage, and I probably will as long as I keep doing this. But anyway, again, huge thanks, guys, for listening, for sending me some great comments and text messages. Super awesome. Love it. Please keep doing that. If you like the podcast, please share it and shoot me a like and that kind of thing. That would be great. Before I close, something a little serious. My favorite thing of the week that I saw this week was, of course, with everything that's going on in the Ukraine, I had seen that people are reserving Airbnbs in the Ukraine, obviously with no intention of going to the Ukraine for that Airbnb. But many of those folks who have a place that they would normally, rent out or whatever for Airbnb are housing, neighbors and people in their community that have lost everything and they don't have homes and they don't have food to eat. So folks are reserving these Airbnbs and paying for them right away so that these citizens in the Ukraine get that money so that they can use that money to help house those folks that don't have a place to live. And I thought that was pretty freaking cool. But anyway, thanks again, everybody. Stay well, stay happy, stay healthy. Take care, and we'll see you soon.